Well, good morning, everyone. I've just spent the best part of an hour reinstalling my Microsoft, no, not Microsoft, my video recording software that I use, which is OBS Studio. Check it out. Completely free, open source, great project, works really well. Also reinstalling drivers because at any given one point in time it seemed that I could not get my microphone to work at the same time as my camera or vice versa. And frankly, I'm feeling a little tested, but hopefully we got there in the end. I'm still playing around with this microphone volume thing, trying to get it to be so that it's not super quiet. Whenever I watch my own videos on YouTube, the volume of my voice is heaps lower than anyone else's, and I just don't want that to be the case. So I'm working on it. As best I can without having any real technical knowledge of audio visuals, how to do that sort of thing. So, yeah, so apologies again if this video is a little bit quiet. Hopefully, you all just have the ability to turn up the TV with your remote, or if you're watching on your computer, I really hope that it's not so quiet you can't hear it and you need to put Bluetooth headphones in or play it through a USB speaker. That would be awful. I mean, you would get much better audio quality, obviously, but but yeah, I mean, it's really frustrating when videos get posted to YouTube, or for that matter, like this happens all the time with my university lectures. Actually, the lectures will go up, and I'm maxing out the volume on my on my computer audio, on my computer speakers, and I can still barely hear what the lecturer is saying. I've mentioned this to them, and they said that they've filed an IT ticket. The way it goes with these things. Anyway, this is just going to be a brief video because I wanted to make two significant updates, primarily in relation to the last video that I posted, which was, not the last video, well, one in relation to the last video and one in relation to the video before that, which is about goals. So I'll start with the easier one. So I mentioned in my goals video that I will start singing lessons this year, and I had my first one on Friday. I found my lovely singing tutor on Gumtree, of all places. I don't know how popular Gumtree is in various countries around the world. It's actually, unfortunately, Gumtree's dying a little bit. It used to be really, really popular for a while, but I feel like it's declining in the number of people that are using it for their advertisements. A lot of people seem to be relying on Facebook Marketplace, which I just don't like nearly as much. I mean, they have, the categorization is terrible. The constant ads and support, was scattered throughout your search results. It doesn't show you the location of the person who has the item. Yeah, there's lots of little frustrating things about Facebook Marketplace. But I guess, like at the end of the day, for perhaps newer generations, they've already got Facebook. And so why would they sign up for Gumtree, a whole different app, where you got a whole and then, and then potentially advertise a product on both, have to monitor, traffic, offers or whatever coming in from both, when they can just use Facebook Marketplace. And it seems to be becoming the dominant way that people advertise and sell most secondhand things. So how did I get onto the subject of Gumtree? My goodness. Yes, Gumtree. I found my singing coach, Lana, on Gumtree. And she's a lovely, lovely young girl. I'd say she's probably about 26, maybe something like that. She's studying at WAPA, which is the Western Australian Academy for Performing Arts. Most famously, I suppose, Heath Ledger studied there, but many, many other talented Australian artists and artists who've gone on to achieve international acclaim in theatre arts have also gone through that program. So Tim Minchin, who is a favourite of mine, studied at WAPA, and then heaps of WAPA graduates wind up going straight to London to work on Broadway shows. It's a really highly regarded program. Anyway, so I had my first lesson on Friday, and it was about 50% her hearing me sing and like evaluating my singing voice, and we did some warm-ups and stuff, and then about 50% breathing exercises, which I was not really getting. I said to her, with all due respect, I might go and like YouTube, this, what you're trying to teach me, to see if someone can explain it in a way that just makes sense a little bit better for my brain, because, I'm the type of person who I can do something much better if I understand exactly what it is that I'm trying to achieve, and also like why. Why is not as important, but what is very important. And she was just sort of like saying, blow all the air out of your lungs and then relax your muscles, and then something should happen, like a little bit of air should escape back in, kind of thing. That, I think that was the optimal. But yeah, so I need to maybe like get just somebody else's like thoughts on that, because I'm sure it's a common exercise that that singing tutors teach. And then that way I'm not bogging her down with like, we're not bogging both of us down with just like, many, many more like sessions, like where I'm still trying to understand this breathing exercise and still not getting it. So goal number one, well, the only goal that I mentioned actually on my podcast, but I do have a bunch of goals, like, just so you know. But specifically the one that I mentioned when I was doing my podcast was, I'm going to get singing lessons. And then I said, and maybe I'm going to do it sometime this year. And then I said, no, I'm definitely going to do it sometime this year. And what do you know? Knocked it out. April. I contacted her, April 1st pretty much. So knocked it out within the first 4 months of the year. Of course, like, I'm going to do 6 probably at least lessons. So it won't be, finished. Won't be goal completed until I've done all my lessons. And she said, there's there's nothing more I can really help you with. But yeah, so big ups for me trying to figure out a way to reward myself for making that step, even though it's something that I really wanted to do and like I was so excited about it and whatever. But still, like, you know, whenever you achieve whenever you are working towards your goals and you're ticking off you're ticking off items on your plan to achieve your goals, you know, I really do think it's important that you reward yourself in some way, even if it's only just to write one page in your journal that says, I'm doing it. I'm kicking goals, you know. I'm on my way, like I can do this, you know, even if that's all it is. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't decided exactly yet, but there is like in the back of my mind, I am thinking like that I might like reward myself in some way because I was so, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this year. Oh no, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do this year. And then I just went straight on and got, you know, and got it done. So pretty proud of myself, pretty happy about that. Let me know how you're going with your goals, by the way. And the next thing I wanted to say, which was an update to last week's video, which was on a slightly more serious, I guess, topic, about exploring one's personality. And it will not personality. I think the term personality is too often used to mean persona, and persona is not our true selves. A persona is like a mask that we occupy in order to be most effective, most accepted, most whatever, you know. And it might be at a job, it might be in friendship circles. This is what, you know, like, so not personality. However, like, you know, topics to explore your sense of your true self, your sense of self, and to begin to identify your real values that you hold and admire. And by the way, like I put a huge list on attached to last week's episode. You just want to have like 4 or 5 probably that are your like, you know, top 5 core values, and then you can have like maybe like, you know, 8, you know, numbers 6 through 10 in the, you know, in like in fine print, like underneath, because it can be hard to narrow it down to 5. However, when we come to the process of checking in with ourselves, it can be very hard if we've got 10 individual like traits that we're having to fact check with our behaviors every single day, you know, like that can just wind up computationally being a very time intensive process, and no one wants to like have, you know, whenever anything winds up being like a 1 hour minimum task, it's so easy for it to just be ditched. And I would understand that. you know. So anyway, so update on the whole personas and why do I keep saying that? Update on the whole core values thing. I want to tell you an anecdote. It's a personal story, something that happened to me over the weekend, and that caused me to become quite upset. And I want to share with you like the sort of the way that I went from just initial sadness and disappointment to then fleeting anger to then a bit of a sort of oh fuck you attitude to let's just forget about it so we can go and try and enjoy the night anyway. So the backdrop was that I had invited my father some time ago. I bought 2 tickets to see James Taylor. Hopefully you all know who James Taylor is. If you don't, I'm going to put a link to one of his videos in the description box. He's awesome. He was from, he's still alive today. He's 72 today. He was performing, so he, wasn't like Weekend at Bernie's, like, he's 72. Still a great singer, still a great guitar player. I don't think he writes new material anymore or hasn't for a long time, but that's okay because he's got like a huge back catalogue from when he was like really popular. And he's sort of in the same vein as Cat Stevens, I guess you would say. Cat Stevens tended to get a little bit angrier and more political than James Taylor ever did. James Taylor's stories are more personal. And fun fact, Taylor Swift was named after James Taylor. So anyway, so I'll link to a video, just so that if anyone out there is watching and says, oh, I've never even heard of him, like you can watch a video clip of his and I'll make it like probably his most famous song so that you'll probably hear it and go, oh yeah, I know this song. And if you don't, then you might hear it and go, oh, I've never heard this song, but like, yeah, no, I like the harmony, I like the melody, and he's got a great voice, and he's like, and or you might go, well, this is absolute crap, obviously 70s crap, whatever. If we all like the same things, the world would be a boring place. Anyway, so I bought 2 tickets to see James Taylor. I bought these tickets as soon as I saw the announcement go up, probably via Facebook events or something like that. And then I went about finding someone to take to the concert with me. And initially I just posted on my Facebook wall, which is probably not a very smart thing to do in retrospect. Like it, and I don't care about the fact that it made me seem a bit desperate, but I probably would have. It was probably being a bit lazy more than anything, because if I'd actually sort of like thought through my, like I'd actually gone through like my list of friends one by one and like thought about it, I probably would have been able to come up with a like a short list of people who would probably be interested. Anyway, I did eventually like decide to take my very, very dear friend Mark. And then a couple of months ago, all of a sudden it occurred to me that I should invite my dad. Because my dad and I have a loving relationship. I know he has respect for me. I know that he has trust for me again, which is awesome. He came to visit me all the time when I was away. And I'll always really, really, be grateful for that. However, my dad and I don't really do things together, like ever. Like my dad took me to the very first concert that I ever went to, and that was back in 1988, and it was Jimmy Barnes. The tour was Barnstorming, and Barnstorming was the album that produced Working Class Man and a number of other of his biggest singles. It was a huge success for Jimmy Barnes. My dad bought tickets for both of us to go to that concert, and we went together, and I had a great time, even though I decided at the end that I really don't like Jimmy Barnes's music very much. But it turned out many years later, talking to my dad, that was actually the first concert, like in a venue that wasn't a pub, that he had ever been to as well, which shocked the hell out of me. So it was a special night for the both of us. Anyway, we went to that concert, and then I remember I invited my dad to come and see another band with me for my 30th, I think, a birthday in my 30s. And I was there with my boyfriend at the time. And we rocked up together, and then immediately my dad and his girlfriend just disappeared, and we didn't see them again for the rest of the night. And I remember being pretty pissed off. I was livid to the extent where I couldn't even enjoy the concert, which was like, not good. Anyway, so I don't know, I guess, even though, but that was a long time ago. So I decided to invite my dad, and he seemed all excited about it. And then he said, "Oh, well, Wendy," that's his partner, "Wendy would like to come as well." And I was like, "But Wendy is like a disco queen. She's a self-proclaimed disco queen." He said, "Oh yeah, but she likes that kind of folky stuff." I was like, "Okay, well, I don't think there'll be any tickets left. It's probably sold out, but I'll check." Anyway, of course it wasn't sold out, so I bought her a ticket as well. And then on Friday night, which was the night when the concert was, they rocked up at my house at about 6 o'clock as planned. This was the first time they'd seen my new flat, so we were having a bit of I was showing them around and showing them what I'd done, and then they pulled a bottle of wine out from their, I don't know, it must have been in Wendy's handbag, I think, and said, "Have you got any wine glasses?" And they each had a glass of wine. And then just as I was saying, okay, well, we should probably start getting a wriggle on, because it's a 20-minute walk over to the concert venue. Oh, well, yeah, see, Wendy's not feeling well, so we're not going to go to the concert. And my dad had told me the day before that his partner wasn't feeling well. And I had expressed my concerns about her being in a very public place if she had some sort of infectious illness. And he was like, and my dad, he's so footloose and carefree about everything, honestly. It's hard to tell, but he said, "Oh, no, she seems to be over the worst of the symptoms now. She's just got she's just a bit achy and tired and stuff, so I think she'll be all right." And I said, "Well, look, if she can't make it, she can't make it. I would love for you to just come, anyway." I guess that message didn't get through. So they came up to the city and came to my flat, pretended like everything was going ahead normally, and then at the very, very last minute told me that they weren't coming to the concert. I can't even remember how I reacted at the time. I'm sure my facial expression would have said it all. I don't think I said any words to indicate that I was understanding of the decision. I think I said precious little, and they said precious little, and then they just got the hell out of there as quickly as possible, leaving me alone with 3 tickets to a concert. The thing that upsets me the most, however, about all of this is not the fact that Wendy wasn't well enough to come to the concert. If Wendy had been feeling unwell and they had driven all the way up from Mandurah, where they live, which is an hour's drive out of Perth, all the way up to Mandurah, just to, basically test the waters, see how she feels when she arrives, kind of thing, and obviously check out my flat. Kudos to her for that, I guess. However, they had actually been up in the city all day, and they had lunch with 2 of Wendy's daughters. So now, and so adding to the feelings of just upset and disappointment, I had feelings of really being devalued, of relative insignificance. You'll battle through your illness to have lunch with your own daughters, but you won't suck it up so that your partner can spend time with his daughter, which he never does. Yeah, not happy, and not happy with my dad, because honestly, if that had been me in that situation where my partner at the last minute had decided that she wasn't up for going to a concert. I mean, to start with, the concert only went for 2 hours. She could have just stayed. She could have just sat at my house, watched Netflix. Honestly, she could have slept in my bed if she was that tired. I would have had no problems with that. While we went to the concert, and then when we got back, they could drive home together. That would have been that would have been easy option number 1. Easy option number 2, my dad lets Wendy drive the car home, and he either stays at my place or gets accommodation somewhere for the night. It's not like he can't afford it. So many ways that they could have handled it that was so much better than the way in which they did. And Wendy's not feeling well, so Wendy just shouldn't even broach the idea of going all the way up to Perth City for an outdoor concert, in the evening. I would have thought that would be I would have thought that would just be common sense. Anyway, you can see that I'm still a little bit upset about it, but the reason I wanted to make the video was not to tell you how upset I was. Although this is all good stuff with regards to identifying emotions and honing in on how different things, invoked different emotional responses in you. However, what I really wanted to make the video to say was that was Friday night. I was upset Saturday. I was upset Friday night. I was upset on and off on Saturday. And then on Sunday morning, I woke up and I thought, I'm going to send my dad a text message. And I'm going to tell him that what he did really upset me. And that I'm not trying to make him feel bad. I'm not expecting an apology. I just want him to know, because I love him and because I know that he loves me, and because when you love someone, you care about how your actions affect them and their feelings. So I'm letting you know because I would want to know if the situation was reversed. And also because I have been upset about it all weekend and I feel like I need to say something. But I used my assertive communication formula, like it was like literally like, "Hi Dad, when you and Wendy bailed on the concert at the last minute, I felt upset, disappointed, abandoned, and a little bit angry. Because I believe that you could easily have found a way so that you and I could still go to the concert together. And Wendy could either just sit at my house or go home early in the car, and then we get you home later. I feel like there were other alternatives there, and because we don't get to spend much time, we don't do things together, and I made the effort for this, and so that made it extra disappointing. And then also I had 2 spare tickets which I rocked up with, so I think it cost me like $700 for that ticket, to go and see James Taylor. Because I paid for their tickets as well. I didn't put that in the SMS because I didn't want to get petty about it. But anyway, so I sent the SMS, and then I felt really proud of myself, because standing up to my parents when they upset me is not something that I've ever done. I wasn't taught to do it as a child. Oh, it wasn't role modeled for me. My dad is extremely avoidant. My mother is also avoidant, although she is passive-aggressive avoidant. So I learned to be avoidant through my childhood. Not initially, not when it came to my mum and her, because she would my mum, if she was upset with you, she would immediately switch on the silent treatment. And it was brutal. And by the way, I'm an only child. So there was no second opinion to be had. There was nothing. It was just me and her. So all of a sudden she's upset with me. I have to try and figure out why. Sometimes that the reason why was probably pretty obvious. Sometimes it was completely elusive to the point where I would never find out what it was that she was upset about, because she would never speak a word about it. She literally would just administer the silent treatment until either I rendered an apology that was exact and, I guess, authentic enough that she felt like, okay, she's apologized, she doesn't deserve to be punished anymore, at which point sometimes the silent treatment would stop. Usually it would just sort of taper off, but I would get some communication with my mum at that stage, as opposed to just nothing. Or how it would end would be when my mum came and tucked me in to bed at night, still not saying a word, and she would kiss me on the forehead and she'd go to bed, and in the morning we'd wake up and it was like nothing happened. So this is this is why I grew up like learning like to practice avoidance as a defense mechanism for confrontation and conflict, and it's been a real problem in some of my relationships. I mean, I dare say that it's been a problem in all of my relationships. I mean, I've been in relationships mostly with people who are also avoidant, so I suppose, like they've at least understood the whole avoidance thing, but letting things fester, not talking about them, resentment, like if there's even a chance that after something has happened, like, and that's that, and that was what I thought. That's where my thought process got to with regards to Saturday and the concert thing was, is this going to lead to me having some ongoing resentment for my father? Minor ongoing resentment. I mean, nothing that would interfere with anything necessarily, but minor ongoing resentment. And also, is this going to lead to me not bothering next time? Is this going to just, like decrease the likelihood that I will initiate quality time with him again? And the answer to both those questions was yes. And so I knew I had to say something. And perhaps I should have called. However, my dad is not good on the phone, especially not when I am upset. So I made a very calculated decision to send a text message, and it wasn't based on me. It was based on him having an opportunity, hopefully, to read it, to receive it, to read it, and to actually take it in. Because I guarantee you that if I had tried to have that conversation in person, as soon as he heard the words, "Hey, you upset me," he would have just blocked out the rest and then probably tried to make it up to me with like some money or something, like that's his usual thing. Like, "Oh, Belinda, you're devastated, you're crying, you're miserable. Oh, look, did you need some money?" I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but like, I mean, one probably doesn't. Some people I'm sure can relate. Some people I'm sure can relate also to my mother, who, like, if I have a problem or if I show up, if I express that I'm upset or around her instant response is, "Okay, how can we fix this problem?" And it's not how can we fix this problem really, because like, let's face it, like there's very little that a third party can usually do in these circumstances. But she wants to problem solve it with me, and she wants to come to a solution now, so that I don't have to be upset anymore. And if the conclusion of that conversation is like, "Mum, sometimes people just get upset and there is no problem to solve," that's when my mum runs off to bed. Anyway, that's enough about me. This blog's not supposed to be about me airing all my old family like dirty laundry and stuff like. But I thought that those were two useful updates to my previous videos. Tune in soon. I'll have a brand new video on a more structured topic coming. And I hope everyone has a good week. By the way, this is the Japanese symbol for I'm having my photo taken. I mean, it's also a symbol. It's also the peace symbol. I use it in the former context because I spent 3 months in Japan when I was in year 12. I think it's hilarious. And if you really want to go hardcore, you go both. Yeah. So if you ever see like Westerners do it, especially, like it probably means it means that they've almost certainly been to Japan or they've hung around with some Japanese people. If you see, easiest way to spot, if there's tourists, hanging around like your city center or whatever, and you're struggling to determine whether they're South Korean, Japanese, or whatever, like if they don't have a flag, well, that's pretty giveaway. But easiest way to tell is that the Japanese will be the ones who, whenever they have their photo taken, we have all to be making the Japanese symbol for I'm having my photo taken. It's just like they have a word which for that they use when they pick up the phone, and it has no meaning. It just means I've just answered the phone, and it's moshi moshi, moshi moshi, moshi moshi. All right, good night. Good morning. Good riddance. I was about to say that almost slipped from that was one from the shadows, wasn't it? No, I'm thinking. I believe that was directed at myself because I've already let this video drag on for too long. So I'm gonna take myself away now and let everybody get on with whatever they are up to today.